The silver tray trembled in my hands as laughter echoed through the great hall. Another Omega had just completed her shift, a perfect, graceful transformation into a russet wolf that drew applause from every corner of the room. I pressed myself against the wall, praying to the moon goddess that Alpha Marcus would forget I existed. He didn't. Rhea Moonwhisper, his voice cut through the celebration like a blade. Step forward. Every head turned toward me. The tray slipped from my fingers, crashing to the stone floor. Wine spread across the gray stone like blood, a crimson omen I should have heeded. I said, "Step forward." Alpha Marcus's smile was cruel. "Unless you're too defective even for that?" Heat flooded my cheeks as I stumbled through the crowd. Warriors pulled back as if my inadequacy might be contagious. Someone whispered, "Half-wolf," and the word rippled through the hall like poison. I'd been called worse. "The acceptance ceremony gives every Omega a chance to prove their worth," Alpha Marcus announced, circling me like prey. "Show us your wolf, Rhea. Surely even you deserve that opportunity." Opportunity, the word tasted like ash. This wasn't opportunity. It was entertainment. Public humiliation dressed up as tradition. But I had no choice. An Alpha's command was absolute. I closed my eyes and reached for the part of me that should have been whole. The part that had shattered 8 years ago during my first shift, when something inside me broke and never healed. My wolf was there. I could feel her, silver and terrified, but she wouldn't come forward. She couldn't. The shift began. Pain lanced through my bones as they tried to reshape, tried to transform. My eyes burned gold. Claws extended from my fingertips, razor sharp and trembling, but that was all. My body remained stubbornly human, caught in an agonizing halfway state. The hall erupted in laughter. "Half-wolf! Defective! Why does she even bother breathing our air?" My cousin Lissa's voice rose above the rest, as sweet as honey and twice as poisonous. "Oh, Rhea, you poor thing. Perhaps the goddess simply made a mistake with you." Tears burned behind my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Not here, not in front of them. Then the massive oak doors burst open. The temperature in the hall plummeted. The laughter died as if someone had cut its throat. Every wolf in the room, Alpha, Beta, Omega, dropped to one knee with their heads bowed. All except me. I was too frozen in shock to move. The man who entered didn't walk. He commanded space itself. 6.5 feet of lethal grace, with coal-black hair and eyes the color of storm clouds. Tribal tattoos marked his arms, each one a victory in battle. He wore authority like a second skin. The Alpha King, Daemon Stormclaw, the merciless. His gaze swept the hall, assessing, calculating, and then it landed on me. The world stopped. Something slammed into my chest with the force of a lightning strike. Not pain, something worse. Recognition. Belonging. My wolf, who had cowered for 8 years, suddenly pressed against my consciousness with desperate need. "Nate," she whispered. "No, no, no, this couldn't be happening." The Alpha King's eyes flashed silver. His jaw clenched. For one eternal moment, we stared at each other across the crowded hall. Two strangers connected by an invisible thread neither of us wanted. Then his expression shuddered, cold and remote as winter stone. I did what any sensible person would do when faced with an impossible, world-shattering revelation. I ran.
Chapter 2. Healing Under the Stars. I didn't stop running until the forest swallowed me whole. My lungs burned, my legs trembled, but the physical pain was nothing compared to the chaos in my chest, that impossible, terrifying pull back toward the great hall. back toward him. The Alpha King couldn't be my mate. It was impossible. Omegas didn't get fated mates, especially not defective Omegas who couldn't even shift properly, and certainly not with him, the merciless, the wolf who had executed traitors with his bare hands, who commanded 12 packs with absolute authority, who looked at me like I was something he wanted to destroy and protect in equal measure. "Stop it," I whispered to myself, to my wolf, to the moon goddess who clearly had a cruel sense of humor. "Stop thinking about him." The crescent moon hung overhead, bathing the Moonwhisper forest in silver light. This place had been my refuge for years, the only place where I could breathe, where I could be myself without judgment. The ancient trees knew my secrets. They'd kept them safe. Until now, apparently. A whimper cut through the night air. I froze, every sense suddenly alert. That wasn't the sound of prey or predator. That was pain. Deep, agonizing pain. My feet moved before my mind could catch up, following the sound deeper into the forest, past the ancient oak where I'd had my first failed shift, past the stream where I practiced controlling my partial transformations in private, into the clearing where moonlight pooled like liquid silver. 3 wolves lay sprawled across the moss, their sides heaving with labored breaths. Not pack wolves, I would have recognized them. These were larger, more powerful, warriors from somewhere else, and they were dying. Dark tendrils spread from their wounds like living shadows, pulsing with an unnatural energy that made my skin crawl. I'd seen injuries before. This was something else, something wrong. I should have run, should have gotten help, should have done anything except what I did next. I knelt beside the nearest wolf, a massive gray male with storm cloud markings, and placed my hands on his wound. The power rose from somewhere deep inside me, from the same broken place where my wolf hid. It always felt like this, like opening a dam I'd spent years keeping sealed. Silver light bloomed from my palms, warm and ancient and terrifying in its intensity. Words spilled from my lips in a language I'd never learned, never heard. The light intensified, pushing back the darkness in the wound. The shadow tendrils recoiled, writhing like living things, before finally dissolving into nothing. The wolf's breathing eased, the wound knit closed, leaving only a faint silver scar. 1 down, 2 to go. I moved to the second wolf, then the third, repeating the process. Each healing drained me more. Sweat poured down my face. My hands trembled. By the time I finished with the third wolf, a russet female with battle scars, blood dripped from my nose in a steady stream. The price of power. There was always a price. I sat back on my heels, dizzy and exhausted, watching the 3 wolves breathe peacefully. They'd live, that's what mattered. In the morning, they'd wake confused but whole, and I'd be long gone, just like always. A branch snapped behind me. Every muscle in my body locked. The silver light was still fading from my hands, leaving glowing trails in the air. There was no hiding what I'd done, no explaining it away. I turned slowly, knowing who I'd see. The Alpha King stood at the edge of the clearing, half hidden in shadow. His storm-gray eyes were wide with something I'd never expected to see on his face. Shock. "You," he breathed, his voice rough as gravel. "You're the one who's been healing my warriors." Not a question, a statement. I tried to speak, but my legs gave out. The world tilted sideways. I'd pushed too hard, healed too much. The darkness at the edges of my vision rushed in like a tide. The last thing I saw before consciousness left me was the Alpha King moving with impossible speed, catching me before I hit the ground. His arms were steel and warmth and safety. His scent wrapped around me, pine and thunderstorms, and something wild that made my wolf purr even as everything went black. In that darkness, I could have sworn I felt silver light pulsing in time with my heartbeat, as if recognizing something, someone it had been waiting for all along.
Chapter 3: The King's Command. The voice pulled me from darkness like a hook through water. Absolutely certain it was her. Deep, commanding, with an edge that could cut steel. Yes, Your Majesty. A different voice, younger but equally serious. The description matches perfectly. Silver light, the scent of moon and lavender, and the warriors confirm their wounds were mortal before the healing. I kept my breathing steady, my eyes closed. Wherever I was, it wasn't the forest floor. Soft sheets, a mattress that didn't stab me with springs. The scent of pine and thunderstorms so thick it made my wolf whine with longing. His room. I was in the Alpha King's room. Panic clawed at my throat. Leave us. Footsteps retreated. A door closed with a soft click. Silence stretched like a blade waiting to fall. I know you're awake. His voice was closer now, right beside the bed. Your heartbeat changed 3 minutes ago. Damn, enhanced alpha senses. I opened my eyes to find Damon Stormclaw sitting in a chair beside the bed, elbows on his knees, watching me with an intensity that made my skin prickle. Up close, he was even more devastating, all sharp angles and controlled power. The scar on his jaw caught the morning light streaming through the window. How long was I out? My voice came out rough, barely above a whisper. 6 hours. His eyes never left mine. The healer said your life force was nearly depleted. They would have died otherwise. Yes, something flickered in his expression. Was that admiration? Shadow wounds from voidwalkers. Nothing should be able to heal those. Yet you did. I tried to sit up. His hand shot out, pressing gently but firmly on my shoulder. The contact sent electricity racing through my body. From the way his jaw tightened, he felt it too. Don't. His voice was harsh. You're still weak. I need to go. I pushed against his hand, but I might as well have been pushing against a mountain. Alpha Marcus will be looking for me. I have duties. You're not going anywhere. The alpha command in his voice hit me like a physical force. My wolf immediately submitted, going belly up in my mind. But some stubborn part of me, the part that had survived 8 years of abuse, pushed back. You can't keep me here. His eyes flashed silver. I'm the Alpha King. I can do whatever I want. Then you're a tyrant. Silence. Deadly, suffocating silence. No one spoke to the Alpha King like that. No one dared. Then, impossibly, his lips twitched. Almost a smile. Perhaps, but I am a tyrant who needs answers. He stood, crossing to a table where someone had laid out tea and food. When he returned, he held out a cup. The gesture was surprisingly gentle for someone called the Merciless. Drink, then we talk. I took the cup with trembling hands, hating that he could see my weakness. The tea was perfect, honey and chamomile, warm and soothing. As I drank, he watched me with that unnerving focus. There have been reports, he said, finally. For the past 6 months, injured wolves found healed with no explanation. Silver light seen in Moonwhisper Forest. My warriors described the same thing. Silver light, ancient words,
the scent of moon and lavender. His eyes locked in mine. That's your scent, moon and lavender. I set down the cup before I could drop it. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me. No anger in his voice, just absolute certainty. I saw you. Last night, I watched you heal 3 warriors who should have been dead. My heart hammered against my ribs. If you already know, why are we talking? Because I need to understand what you are, how you can do what you do. He leaned forward, forearms on his thighs. No wolf has healing power like that, not in 200 years. I'm nothing, just a defective Omega, who… Stop. The command was absolute. Don't ever call yourself defective again. Do you understand? I stared at him, speechless. Why would he care what I called myself? The door burst open. A tall man with sandy hair and sharp features entered. Beta Cassius, I realized, from the authority in his bearing. Your Majesty, Alpha Marcus insists on seeing you. He's demanding his Omega be returned. Damon's expression went cold as winter stone. Tell Alpha Marcus that Rhea Moonwhisper is under my direct protection. She is no longer her concern. Your Majesty. Furthermore, I'm calling an assembly. Every wolf in this pack is to present themselves in the main hall at noon. His eyes found mine, and I saw the predator beneath the civilized exterior. We're going to conduct a test. My blood turned to ice. What kind of test? He stood, moving to the window. I need to know if there are others like you, and if not, I need the pack to see what you can do. No! The word tore from my throat. Please, if they know what I am, you'll be protected. He turned back, and the look in his eyes stole my breath. Not pity, something fiercer. I swear it on my life. No one will touch you while you're under my protection. Why? I whispered. Why do you care what happens to a defective Omega? His jaw clenched. For a moment, I thought he wouldn't answer. Then, because you saved my warriors without hesitation. Because you collapsed trying to heal strangers. He moved closer, his presence overwhelming. And because you're mine. The last word came out rough, almost against his will, as if he hated admitting it as much as I hated hearing it. Cassius cleared his throat. Your Majesty, the assembly. Noon. Make it happen. His eyes never left mine. And Cassius, anyone who shows Rhea anything less than respect answers to me personally. Understood, Your Majesty. The beta left. The door closed, and I was alone with the Alpha King who just claimed me in front of his second-in-command. You can't do this, I said. You can't just… I already did. He crouched beside the bed, bringing us eye to eye. At noon, you'll show them what you can do. You'll place your hands on an injured warrior and you'll heal him. And if I refuse? You won't. His voice was certain. Because you're a healer. It's what you do. You can't help yourself. He was right. Damn him. He was right. I'll be there, he said quietly, right beside you, and if anyone so much as looks at you wrong, they'll answer to me. With that, he left, leaving me alone with my terror and the scent of pine and thunderstorms that promised both safety and ruin in equal measure. Chapter 4. First Hunt. I waited until dusk. The assembly was scheduled for noon, but I had no intention of being there. Whatever Damon Stormclaw thought he could command, whatever protection he thought he could offer, it didn't matter.
I'd learned years ago that the only person I could rely on was myself. The moment the guard outside my door changed shifts, I slipped through the window. 3 stories up, but there was a trellis covered in climbing roses. My hands were bleeding by the time I reached the ground, but I didn't stop. Couldn't stop. I ran. My small room at the pack house had nothing worth taking. A few threadbare clothes, a book with a broken spine, a silver pendant my mother gave me before she died. I grabbed the pendant, stuffed some clothes in a worn backpack, and headed for the northern border. Away from the Alpha King, away from mate bonds and impossible revelations, away from the look in his eyes when he said I was his. The forest welcomed me like an old friend. I knew these paths, had walked them countless times in the dead of night when sleep wouldn't come. The border was 2 miles ahead. Once I crossed it, I'd be in neutral territory, free, alone. My wolf whined in protest, pushing against my consciousness. She didn't want to leave, didn't want to run from him. "We have to," I whispered. "We can't stay. You know what happens when people find out what we can do." Fear, that's what happened. Fear and suspicion and the inevitable hunt. I'd read the stories in the forbidden section of the pack library. Lunar priestesses, they were called, hunted to extinction 200 years ago because wolves feared power they couldn't control. I wouldn't lead the same fate. The temperature dropped. Not gradually, all at once, as if someone had opened a door to winter itself. My breath misted in the air. Frost crept across the fallen leaves at my feet, spreading in unnatural patterns. Wrong. Everything felt wrong. The shadows between the trees moved, not with wind, not with any natural cause. They writhed and twisted, pulling away from their sources, gathering into something solid, something alive. The creature that emerged from the darkness stood 8 feet tall, its form constantly shifting between solid and smoke. Red eyes burned in what might have been a face. When it moved, the color drained from everything around it. Green leaves turned gray, brown earth became ash. A void walker, like the ones that had injured Damon's warriors. But this one was focused entirely on me. It spoke, and its voice was 1,000 whispers layered over each other, scraping against my mind like broken glass. "Priestess, we smell you. Light bearer, seal breaker, ours." I stumbled backward, my backpack falling from numb fingers. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but my legs wouldn't move. The creature's presence was suffocating, pressing against my mind like a physical weight. It lunged. Something massive slammed into the creature from the side, throwing it into a tree. The oak splintered on impact, crashing to the ground in a shower of dead leaves. A wolf stood between me and the Voidwalker. Huge, silver gray with storm cloud markings and eyes that flashed between gray and silver. Power radiated from him in waves that made my knees weak. Damon. More wolves burst from the tree line, his elite pack, I realized. 6 massive warriors in perfect formation. They circled the Voidwalker, snarling, snapping, coordinating their attacks with military precision. But their claws passed through shadow. Their teeth caught only smoke. The creature laughed, that horrible whisper voice filling the forest. It struck out with shadow claws, catching one of the warriors across the chest. The wolf went down with a yelp, and I watched in horror as gray spread from the wound, aging him decades in seconds. His essence was being drained, just like the 3 warriors I'd healed. He was dying. My body moved before my mind could catch up. I ran to the fallen warrior, dropping to my knees beside him. His breathing was shallow, his eyes glazing over. "Hold on," I whispered, placing my hands on the wound. Silver light erupted from my palms, so bright it turned night into day. The ancient words poured from my lips,
power flowing through me like a river breaking through a dam. The shadow poison recoiled, hissing and writhing before dissolving under the lunar light. The warrior's breathing steadied. Color returned to his fur. The wound closed. Silence crashed over the forest like a wave. Every wolf had stopped fighting. Every eye was fixed on me, kneeling in the dirt with silver light still glowing from my hands, illuminating the night like a second moon. The Voidwalker shrieked, a sound of rage and hunger combined. More shadows gathered around it, forming two more creatures identical to the first. But they didn't attack. They stared at me with those burning red eyes, and in their whisper voices I heard something that made my blood run cold. The last one. She is the last one. When she falls, the seal breaks forever. Then they dissolved into shadow and were gone, leaving only frost-dead grass and the echoes of their whispers. I knelt there, trembling, the silver light slowly fading from my skin. The wolves around me were transforming back to human form, grabbing clothes from packs tied to nearby trees. But I couldn't look at them, couldn't face what I'd just revealed. Footsteps approached. I knew who it was before he spoke. Damon stood before me in human form, magnificently unconcerned with his nakedness, his storm-gray eyes wide with something I'd never seen on his face before. Reverence. "You," he said, his voice hoarse and raw, "are her." His hand reached toward me, trembling slightly. "The last lunar priestess. Moon and stars, Rhea. You're her." The world tilted, my vision blurred. I'd pushed too hard, used too much power too quickly after last night's healing. "I'm sorry," I whispered as darkness crept in from the edges. "I tried to leave. I tried to—" Strong arms caught me before I hit the ground. Damon pulled me against his chest, and his warmth was the last thing I felt before consciousness slipped away. "I've got you," he murmured, his lips against my hair. "I found you. Finally, I found you." And in that moment, before the darkness claimed me completely, I felt the mate bond pulse between us. No longer just recognition, but something deeper. Something that felt dangerously like belonging.
Chapter 5. Blood and Silver. She looked impossibly small in my bed. I'd been watching her sleep for 3 hours, unable to look away. Silver light still flickered beneath her skin like trapped starlight. Every few minutes, ancient words would tumble from her lips in a language dead for 2 centuries. She'd almost died, again. Healing my warrior had drained her so completely that her heart had stopped twice on the way back to the fortress. Twice, I'd felt the mate bond go cold and empty, as if someone had carved out my chest with a dull blade. Twice, I'd forced my blood into her mouth, willing her to live through sheer stubborn refusal to let her go. "You almost died healing my warrior," I said quietly, knowing she couldn't hear me. "You collapsed trying to save a stranger. Why? Why would you sacrifice yourself for wolves who've done nothing but hurt you?" But I knew why. Because she was good. Genuinely, impossibly good in a way I'd forgotten existed. The door opened without a knock. Only one wolf in my territory would dare. "Arya." I didn't turn from Rhea. "You're late." "I'm 300 years old, Your Majesty. I move at my own pace." The ancient healer crossed the room with surprising grace for her age. When she looked at Rhea, her eyes, one blue, one green, widened. "Moon and stars, the stories were true. You know what she is. I know what she might be. The silver light, the ancient words, the ability to purify void corruption." Arya moved closer, studying Rhea with an intensity that made my wolf growl protectively. "There hasn't been a lunar priestess in 200 years. They were hunted to extinction. Not all of them, apparently. The bloodline was thought lost. Arya brought this ancient leather-bound book from the royal archives. It's one of the few surviving texts on the priestesses. She opened it to a page marked with faded ribbon. My breath caught. The illustration showed a woman wreathed in silver light, her hands raised toward the moon. Wavy brown hair with silver highlights, amber gold eyes, a crescent moon scar on her right shoulder. Rhea. It could have been a portrait of Rhea. I asked if they were hunted because wolves feared them. Because they were powerful beyond measure. They could heal any wound, purify any curse, commune directly with the moon goddess herself. Arya's expression darkened, and they were the only ones who could seal the void. 200 years ago, the last priestess sacrificed herself to trap the Void Walkers in the Shadow Realm. The seal was meant to last forever. But it's breaking, I said. The Void Walkers are coming through. Because there are no priestesses left to renew it, the seal weakens without their power. She looked at Rhea with something like sorrow. If she truly is the last descendant, the burden falls to her. What burden? Resealing the void. It's what her bloodline was created for. Arya closed the book gently. But first, we must confirm she carries the blood. I can perform the ritual, but I need your permission, Your Majesty. What does the ritual involve? Blood, hers, to test the lineage. The ritual circle will react to priestess blood, or it won't. She paused. There is one complication, which is, if anyone adds their blood to the circle while hers is active, the ritual will reveal mate bonds, not just presence, but purpose, destiny. My heart hammered against my ribs. I'd spent 15 years killing every emotion, every weakness, sworn I'd never let the mate bond control me after watching it destroy my mother. But looking at Rhea, feeling the pull that haunted me since our eyes met across that hall, I needed to know. Do it, I said. Prepare the ritual. Rhea woke at midday, her eyes slowly focusing on the ancient ritual circle Arya had drawn around the bed. Silver chalk mixed with crushed moonstone, inscribed with symbols that predated written language. What is this? Her voice was hoarse from sleep. I sat forward in my chair. A test to confirm what you are. She tried to sit up, and I moved to help before I could stop myself. The moment my hand touched her arm, electricity shot through both of us. She gasped. I nearly did. You don't have to do this, she whispered. Yes, I do. I showed her the book, the illustration. This is what you are, Rhea. A lunar priestess, the last of your bloodline. She stared at the image, her face going pale. They were all killed, hunted like animals because wolves feared their power. I won't let that happen to you. The words came out fiercer than I intended. You're under my protection, my personal protection. Why? Why do you care what happens to me? Because you're mine. Because the thought of you hurt makes my wolf rage. Because I'd burn the world down before I let anyone touch you. But I couldn't say that yet. The ritual, I said instead. Arya needs a drop of your blood. Rhea looked at Arya, who waited patiently by the circle, then back at me. Finally, she nodded. Arya produced a silver blade, ceremonial, ancient, covered in the same symbols as the circle. Your palm, child. Rhea held out her hand without hesitation. The blade kissed her skin. Blood welled. 3 drops fell into the center of the circle. The reaction was instantaneous. Silver light exploded from the circle, shooting up the walls and across the ceiling. The symbols blazed like captured stars. Power rolled through the room in waves, making the windows rattle and the floor tremble. Arya's eyes went wide. Moon above. The bloodline is pure, undiluted. She's not just a descendant, she's a direct line from the first priestess. I couldn't look away from Rhea, wreathed in silver light, exactly like the illustration. Beautiful, powerful, mine. Before I could think better of it, I cut my own palm and let 3 drops of my blood fall into the circle. Your Majesty, no, Arya started. Too late. The moment my blood touched hers, the world exploded. Power slammed into both of us, throwing us backward. I crashed into the wall. Rhea fell back on the bed. The silver light from the circle turned gold where our blood mixed, creating a luminous spiral that rose like a pillar of fire. And then I saw it, a vision burning itself into my mind. Rhea and I standing together under a blood-red moon, her hands glowing silver, mine glowing gold. Between us, a seal of light and shadow holding back an endless void. A voice, ancient, feminine, absolute, spoke directly into my soul. When moon and storm unite, void will be banished or world falls. 2 hearts, 1 soul. The price is everything. The reward is eternity. The vision shattered. I gasped back to reality, my heart hammering. Rhea was staring at me from the bed, her eyes wide with shock. She'd seen it too. I knew she had. Arya's voice shook. You are mates, destined. The prophecy speaks of you both. No, this couldn't be happening. I'd sworn never to let the mate bond control me, never to become what my father became, weak, desperate, destroyed by love. I stood abruptly. No, I don't have mate. I can't. Arya began. Your Majesty. I was already at the door. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The mate bond pulsed between us like a living thing, pulling me back toward her. I forced myself to leave. But as the door closed behind me, I heard Rhea's whisper, small and broken. What am I? Mine, my wolf answered. You're mine, and I'm too much of a coward to claim you.
Chapter 6. Council of Wolves. The council chamber was designed to intimidate. Massive stone walls carved with the history of wolf packs dating back 1,000 years. A vaulted ceiling that swallowed sound and made every word echo with weight. 12 throne-like chairs arranged in a semicircle, each occupied by an alpha whose power pressed against my skin like a physical force. And at the center, elevated above them all, the Alpha King's seat, currently empty. I stood in the middle of the chamber in a simple gray dress Arya had found for me, acutely aware that every eye was fixed on me with varying degrees of disbelief, suspicion, and hostility. Alpha Marcus sat in the first chair, his expression caught between fury and calculation. Seeing him here, stripped of his absolute authority in Moon River Pack, should have been satisfying. Instead, it just made me feel more exposed. This is absurd, he said, not for the first time. That Omega is from my pack. I've known her since she was a child. She's defective, can't even shift properly. And yet, a smooth female voice interrupted, here she stands, summoned by the Alpha King himself. I turned to see a woman entering through the main doors. She moved with the kind of effortless grace that came from a lifetime of knowing you were beautiful, powerful, and untouchable. Straight black hair fell to her waist like a waterfall of silk. Her dress probably cost more than I'd earned in my entire life. Alpha Seraphina Goldenmane, Cassius announced from his position beside the empty throne. The promised bride. My wolf immediately bristled with irrational jealousy. Seraphina's amber eyes swept over me with the kind of assessment that stripped away pretense. Surely there's been some mistake. Lunar priestesses were noble alphas, born from the strongest bloodlines. Her smile was sharp enough to draw blood. Heat flooded my cheeks, but I forced myself to meet her gaze. I'd survived 8 years of far worse than a pretty alpha's contempt. Perhaps the moon goddess has a sense of humor, I said quietly. Several alphas chuckled. Seraphina's eyes narrowed. The massive doors opened again, and the temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Damon entered, and every wolf immediately stood, heads bowed in submission. Except me. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The mate bond flared to life between us like someone had lit a match to gasoline. For one eternal moment, his storm gray eyes locked on mine, and I felt everything. His conflict, his desire, his fear. Then his expression went cold, and the connection snapped shut like a door slamming. Be seated, he commanded, taking his throne. The authority in his voice made my knees weak. Your Majesty, Alpha Marcus began immediately, I must protest this irregularity. That Omega has a name, Damon said, quietly, but silenced Marcus instantly. Rhea Moonwhisper. and she is not an Omega. Murmurs rippled through the council. I stared at him, confused. She is the last surviving lunar priestess, Damon continued, his eyes never leaving mine. Her bloodline was confirmed this morning through the ancient ritual. She is a direct descendant of the first priestess, with power undiluted by time. The chamber erupted. Impossible! The priestesses are extinct. This is madness. Alpha Marcus shot to his feet. Your Majesty, I've known this girl her entire life. She's a defect, nothing more. Damon's eyes flashed silver. Sit down. The Alpha command hit Marcus like a physical blow. He dropped back into his seat, face red with humiliation and rage. A younger Alpha with copper hair leaned forward, his green eyes curious rather than hostile. If she's truly a priestess, she should be tested. Let her prove her power. Alpha Kale Ironstone makes a valid point, Seraphina said smoothly. Surely, if the girl has such extraordinary power, she won't object to a simple demonstration. Her tone was reasonable, but I saw the trap. If I refused, they'd say I was a fraud. If I agreed and failed, or worse, succeeded, I didn't know which would be more dangerous. Kale stood. I volunteer. I have an old training wound that never healed properly. If she can fix it, I'll be the first to acknowledge her. He started to approach me, and I saw Damon's hands grip the arms of his throne hard enough that the stone cracked. A low growl rumbled from his chest, making the windows rattle. Nobody touches her. The words were barely human, pure alpha dominance, raw and undeniable. Kale froze mid-step, his wolf immediately submitting. Seraphina's eyebrows raised. Several alphas exchanged meaningful glances. They could all feel it, the possessive fury rolling off Damon in waves. Your Majesty, Seraphina said carefully, surely you're not suggesting that your protection of this girl is personal. The silence was deafening. I watched Damon struggle with himself, saw the moment he made a choice. She is under my direct protection, he said finally. That's all anyone needs to know. Not a denial, not an admission, just enough to make everyone in the room suspect the truth. Nevertheless, an older alpha with silver streaking his beard spoke up, the council requires proof. We cannot simply take your Majesty's word that she possesses priestess power. The implications are too significant. Before Damon could respond, I stepped forward. My voice was steadier than I felt. I'll do it. Damon's head whipped toward me. Rhea. I'll prove what I am, I said, looking directly at him. But not here, not now. I turned to face the council. There's a pack under attack. Riverside, I heard one of the guards mention. Void Walker wounds that conventional healing can't touch. Alpha Marcus paled. How did you? I'll go to Riverside. I'll heal their wounded, and if I succeed where others have failed, perhaps that will be proof enough. Kale's eyes lit with respect. A practical test. I like her. It's decided then, Seraphina said, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. The girl goes to Riverside, and if she sails, she let the sentence hang. She won't fail, Damon said quietly. His eyes met mine across the chamber, and the mate bond pulsed with something fierce and protective. And I'm going with her. Your Majesty, several alphas protested at once. This council is dismissed, Damon stood, his tone brooking no argument. We leave at dawn. Cassius, prepare an escort detail. As the alphas filed out, shooting me looks ranging from curiosity to outright hostility, Seraphina paused beside me. A word of advice, Omega, she murmured, her voice too low for others to hear. Omegas don't last long in positions of power. They burn out, or they're burned. Her smile was beautiful and cold. Choose wisely which fate you prefer. She swept away, leaving me alone in the massive chamber. Almost alone. Damon hadn't left. He stood at the base of his throne, watching me with an intensity that made my skin prickle. You didn't have to volunteer, he said finally. Yes, I did.
I moved closer, drawn by the pull I couldn't resist. They need to see what I can do. Otherwise, I'm just the defective Omega with delusions of grandeur. You're not defective. He took a step toward me. Stop calling yourself that. Then what am I whispered, because I don't know anymore. I thought I was nothing. Now, apparently, I'm the last hope against an ancient evil. And you, my voice broke. You won't even look at me without flinching. Because looking at you makes me want things I swore I'd never want. The confession came out raw, almost angry. Because every instinct I have screams to claim you, mark you, keep you safe. And I can't. Why not? Because mate bonds destroy, he harshly said. I watched it happen. I won't become that. Then why did you mix your blood with mine? I demanded. Why did you force the prophecy to reveal itself? He was in front of me in 3 strides, so close I could feel the heat radiating from his body. His hand lifted, hovering near my face, but not quite touching. Because I had to know. Because not knowing was worse than knowing. And now I know, and it's worse. Then let me go, I whispered. After Riverside, let me leave and you'll never have to see me again. No, the word was absolute. You're not leaving, ever. You can't have it both ways, I said, anger finally breaking through. You can't refuse the bond and keep me prisoner. Watch me. We stared at each other, the mate bond crackling between us like lightning waiting to strike. Finally, he stepped back. Done. Be ready. He left before I could respond, leaving me alone in the council chamber with the echo of his words and the ache of the bond he refused to accept.
Chapter 7. Baptism of Fire. The smell hit me first. Death. Not the clean death of battle, but the slow rot of essence being drained away. It clung to everything in Riverside Pack territory, the air, the trees, the very ground beneath our feet. Damon's hand shot out, stopping me before I could dismount. We'd ridden hard for 3 hours, his body pressed against my back the entire way, the mate bond singing with every point of contact. Now his jaw was tight, his eyes scanning the devastated landscape. Stay close to me, he ordered. Cassius, full perimeter sweep. I want to know if anything else is out there. Yes, Your Majesty. The pack house was worse than I had imagined. Bodies lay in the courtyard, prematurely aged by decades. Not dead, their chests still rose and fell in shallow breaths, but close, so close. Gray spreading through their skin like frost, the void's poison eating them from the inside out. A young woman stumbled from the building, her eyes wild with grief. Please, please, you have to help them. The healers can't. They tried everything. Where are the wounded? Damon's voice was gentler than I'd ever heard it. Basement. We moved them below ground. 15 still alive. Maybe. I don't. Her voice broke. My mate is down there. He's turning gray. He won't wake up. I was moving before I could think, following her toward the basement entrance. Damon's hand caught my arm. Rhea, you don't have to save everyone. His eyes searched mine. Choose the strongest, the ones most likely to survive. You can't. I'll save all of them or die trying. His grip tightened. That's what I'm afraid of. I looked at him, really looked at him, and saw the fear beneath the Alpha King's mask. Fear for me, because of me. I have to do this, I said softly. It's what I am. He held my gaze for a long moment, then released me. Then I'm not leaving your side. The basement was a vision of despair. 15 wolves lay on makeshift cots, their bodies ravaged by shadow wounds. Some were warriors, massive and scarred. Others were younger, teenagers barely old enough to have had their first shift. And children. Moon above there were children. The Voidwalkers attacked during the full moon celebration. Everyone was gathered. They didn't stand a chance, the pack healer explained, her voice hollow. I knelt beside the first warrior, a massive male with claw marks across his chest.
The darkness had spread from the wounds like ink in water, covering half his torso. His breathing was so shallow I could barely see his chest move. I placed my hands on the wound and let the power flow. Silver light bloomed, warm and bright. The ancient words spilled from my lips. The darkness recoiled, hissing like a living thing as the light burned it away. The wounds closed. Color returned to his skin. 1 down, 14 to go. By the 3rd wolf, sweat poured down my face. By the 5th, my hands trembled. By the 8th, I could taste copper in my mouth, blood dripping from my nose in a steady stream. "Rhea," Damon's voice, tight with concern. "Stop! You're killing yourself." 7 more, I gasped, moving to the next cot. A teenage girl, maybe 16, her face already gray. 7 more. I can do 7 more. "You can't. Let me go." I shook off his hand, pouring power into the girl. The silver light was dimmer now, flickering, but it was enough. The darkness retreated. She gasped, her eyes flying open. 9, 10, 11. My vision blurred. The world tilted. I could feel my life force draining with every healing, like water pouring from a cracked vessel. 12. A child, no more than 8 years old. His mother sobbed beside his cot. I placed my glowing hands on his small chest. The power was barely a trickle now, but I forced it out, forced it to be enough. The boy's eyes opened. "Mama?" 3 more. 3 more, and I could rest. I stumbled to the 13th wolf. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. The silver light flickered weakly, barely visible. "Rhea, stop." Damon grabbed my shoulders, turning me to face him. "You're going to die. Your skin is glowing silver. Your eyes—" His voice cracked. "Please, stop." "Can't," I whispered. 3 more. Just 3. My legs gave out. He caught me, always caught me, lowering us both to the floor. "Damn you," he growled, but his hands were gentle, cradling my face. "Damn you for being this good, this selfless, this perfect. Not perfect, just can't let them die, can't." He stared at me for a long moment, then, decision made, he bit his wrist. Blood welled, dark and rich. "What are you doing?" Sharing my essence. He pressed his wrist to my lips. "Drink. Now." It was an alpha command I couldn't refuse. His blood hit my tongue, and power exploded through me. Not silver light, something darker, wilder. Alpha strength flowing into my veins, stabilizing me, filling the cracks in my draining life force. Our eyes met, and through the mate bond I felt everything. His fear, his fury, his desperate need to keep me alive if it meant giving me his own strength. "Finish it," he said roughly. "Save them, but I'm staying right here, and if you start to fade again, I'll stop you myself." I nodded, wiping blood from my mouth. The 3 remaining wolves. I could do this. With Damon's essence flowing through me, the healing came easier. 13, 14, 15. The last wolf, the young woman's mate, opened his eyes and smiled weakly at his sobbing partner. Done. All 15. All alive. The basement erupted in gasps and sobs and prayers of gratitude. Wolves pushed themselves up from their cots, staring at their healed skin in wonder. The pack healer fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. And then, one by one, they all knelt. "Luna," the massive warrior I'd healed first said, his voice reverent. "Luna! Luna! Luna!" The words spread through the basement like wildfire. 30 voices became 50 as others rushed down to see. 50 became 50. "Luna! Luna! Luna!" I sat there in Damon's arms, my skin still glowing faintly silver, blood dried on my face, completely overwhelmed. Damon pulled me closer, his lips against my ear. "You magnificent, infuriating, impossible woman. What am I going to do with you?" "I'm not strong enough,"
I saved them, but I'm not strong enough for what's coming. Then we'll make you stronger. Because I'll be damned if the void take you, or anyone else. Do you understand me? I wanted to answer, but darkness was pulling at me again. Gentler this time. Not death, just sleep. Earned sleep. Sleep, Damon murmured, lifting me effortlessly. I've got you. I'll always have you. And as consciousness slipped away, surrounded by the chant of Luna and wrapped in the Alpha King's arms, I let myself believe it. Just for a moment, I let myself belong.
Chapter 8. The Forbidden Library. The moon tower stood at the northern edge of the fortress, ancient and forgotten by most. Arya led me up the spiral stairs 1 week after Riverside, my legs still weak but healing. The library holds every text we have on lunar priestesses, she said, pushing open the heavy wooden door. Most of it isn't pleasant reading. The room was circular, lined floor to ceiling with shelves. Dust motes danced in the sunlight streaming through narrow windows. The smell of old paper and dried herbs filled my lungs. Arya pulled a leather-bound tome from the shelf, handling it with reverence. This is the complete history. Read it, all of it. You need to understand what you're facing. I opened the book. The first page showed a genealogy tree, lunar priestesses stretching back centuries. My finger traced the lines down to the last name. Rhea Moonwhisper. Died sealing the void, 1825. My ancestor, the last priestess before me. I turned the pages, reading account after account. Each priestess's story ended the same way. Sacrificed herself to renew the seal. Gave her life to close the portal. Died protecting the realm from the void. They all died, I whispered. Yes, Arya's voice was gentle. Sealing the void requires a priestess's life force. It always has. It's why your bloodline was so carefully protected, and why it was ultimately hunted to extinction. Some wolves decided it was better to face the void than keep sacrificing priestesses. I flipped to the back of the book, finding the complete prophecy, the one Damon and I had seen in the vision. But here, written in faded ink, were additional lines. When moon and storm unite, void will be banished or world falls. 2 hearts, 1 soul, bound by fate's cruel thread. The moon's blood must feed the seal. Light's death brings eternal silence. But beware, love may damn them both or save them all. My hands shook. Moon's blood, that's me. I have to die to seal the void. The prophecy suggests it, yes. Arya sat beside me, but there's more to it. The part about 2 hearts, 1 soul, that refers to the mate bond. No priestess in recorded history had a mate when she performed the sealing. You do. What difference does that make? I don't know. The prophecy is unclear. Love may damn them both, or save them all. She studied me carefully. Perhaps it changes nothing, or perhaps it changes everything. I stared at the words until they blurred. 2 weeks. The next new moon was in 2 weeks. That's when Morgath would be strongest, when the seal would be weakest. That's when I would die. I need to train, I said, standing abruptly. If I only have 2 weeks, I need to learn everything. How to manifest weapons, shields, how to… Then we begin now. For 6 days I trained. Arya taught me to shape lunar light into blades, shields, chains. I practiced until my hands bled and my bones ached, until I could call the power without thinking, without hesitation. Damon watched from the shadows, never interfering, never leaving. Just there. A silent sentinel who appeared whenever I pushed too hard, ready to catch me if I fell. On the 7th day,
Kale Ironstone appeared with an armful of white roses. "Luna Rhea," he said with a charming smile, "I came to offer my services, and perhaps some company that isn't ancient texts and grim prophecies." Despite everything, I laughed. "Are you bribing me with flowers? Is it working?" "Maybe a little." We talked as I arranged the roses in a vase. He told me about his pack, his struggles to prove himself as a young alpha, made me laugh with stories of council politics and Seraphina's latest machinations. For the first time in weeks, I felt almost normal, almost human. The door slammed open with enough force to crack the frame. Damon stood in the doorway, his eyes flashing between gray and silver. His wolf was right at the surface, barely contained. The temperature in the room plummeted. "Leave." The alpha command made the windows rattle. Kale stood slowly, wisely not challenging. "Your Majesty." He nodded to me. "Luna." The moment he was gone, Damon crossed the room in 3 strides. He grabbed my wrist, not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough to make his point, and pinned me against the bookshelf. "What were you doing?" His voice was a growl, more wolf than man. "Talking, having a conversation like a normal person." I pushed against his chest. "What's wrong with you?" "He brought you flowers." "So?" "So he's courting you, making you laugh, looking at you like—" He bit off the words, jaw clenched so tight I heard his teeth grind. "Like what?" I demanded. "Like I'm worth something? Like I'm more than just a weapon to be used and discarded?" "He can't have you." "And you can?" The words came out sharp, cutting. "You won't claim me. You won't even acknowledge the mate bond. But I'm supposed to what? Sit alone in this tower waiting to die?" Something cracked in his expression. "You're not going to die." "Yes, I am. I read the prophecy, the complete version. Moon's blood must feed the seal. Light's death brings eternal silence. That's me, Damon. I'm going to die in 2 weeks, and there's nothing either of us can do about it." He read the page, his face going pale. "No, there has to be another way." "There isn't. Every priestess before me died. It's what we're made for. One final sacrifice to protect everyone else." Tears burned my eyes. "So forgive me if I wanted one afternoon of feeling like a normal person, one conversation where someone looked at me and saw something other than a martyr." "I see you," he said roughly. "Every time I look at you, I see everything, and it terrifies me." "Then what do you want from me?" His forehead dropped to mine, his breath warm against my lips. "Everything. Nothing. I don't know anymore. All I know is that you're mine, and I can't—" His voice broke. "I can't lose you." "Then stop pushing me away." "I'm trying to protect you." "From what? The mate bond? It's already there, Damon. Rejecting it doesn't make it go away. It just makes us both miserable." He pulled back, conflict warring in his eyes. "I need time to think." "We don't have time," I whispered. But he was already leaving, the door closing behind him with terrible finality. I sank to the floor, the prophecy clutched in my hand. Arya found me there an hour later, still staring at the words that sealed my fate. "He loves you," she said quietly. "He just doesn't know how to admit it yet." "It doesn't matter," I said. "In 2 weeks, I'll be dead, and he'll finally be free of the mate bond he never wanted." But even as I said it, I felt the bond pulse between us, his anguish mixing with mine, proof that neither of us would ever truly be free.
Chapter 9. Dance of Wolves. The full moon gala was a tradition I'd always hated. Political theater disguised as celebration, where alliances were forged and broken over champagne and false smiles. Tonight, I hated it even more. Seraphina stood beside me on the dais, resplendent in emerald silk, playing the perfect future queen. She'd been doing it for years, the gracious smiles, the diplomatic conversations, the subtle reminders that she was promised to me. And I'd let her, because it was easier than feeling anything. Then the ballroom doors opened, and everything stopped. Rhea stood in the entrance, and I forgot how to breathe. The dress was pure silver, flowing like liquid moonlight. It left her shoulders bare, showing the crescent moon scar that marked her as priestess. Her hair fell in waves, those silver highlights catching the chandelier light. She looked ethereal, untouchable, mine. The ballroom fell silent. Every head turned. Every wolf recognized power when they saw it. "Charming," Seraphina murmured beside me, "for an Omega." My hand gripped my glass hard enough that it cracked. I forced myself to remain still, to not cross the ballroom and claim what was mine in front of everyone. 3 alphas immediately approached her, then 5, then 7. My wolf snarled, pushing against my control. They were circling her like prey, offering dances, compliments, attention. She accepted a dance with Alpha Theron, then Alpha Marcus's son, then Kale. Kale, who made her laugh, who touched her waist with familiar ease, who looked at her like she was his moon and stars. The glass in my hand shattered. Blood dripped from my palm, but I barely felt it. "Your Majesty," Cassius appeared at my elbow. "Your hand. Leave it." I watched Kale spin her across the floor, watched her smile, genuinely smile, and something in my chest cracked wider. 2 weeks. She had 2 weeks to live, and I was wasting them, pushing her away, letting her think I didn't want her when wanting her was the only thing keeping me sane. The music swelled. Kale leaned close, whispering something that made her laugh again. Enough. I crossed the ballroom in long strides, ignoring Seraphina's protest, ignoring the murmurs that followed. The crowd parted before me like water. "My dance," I said, not asking. Kale wisely stepped back. Rhea looked up at me, those amber gold eyes wide with surprise and something else. Something that made the mate bond between us flare like wildfire. I pulled her into my arms, one hand at her waist, the other clasping hers. The moment we touched, electricity shot through both of us. Her breath hitched. My control wavered. "Having fun," the words came out harsher than I intended. "Collecting alphas?" Her eyes flashed. "Why do you care? You made it clear you don't want me." "I never said I don't want you." I pulled her closer than propriety allowed, feeling her body against mine. "I said I can't have you." "There's a difference?" "Yes." My hand tightened on her waist. Through the thin silk, I could feel her warmth, her heartbeat. "You want to know what I feel?" I lowered my voice so only she could hear. "Every time you're near, my wolf demands I claim you, mark you, make sure every male in this room knows you're taken." Her breath caught. "Then why don't you do it?" "Because I watched the mate bond destroy my father. He was Alpha King, powerful, feared, respected. Then he met my mother, and she became his entire world. When she betrayed him with his beta, he didn't just break, he shattered, killed them both, then himself." Rhea's eyes softened. "You're not my mother." "No, you're worse, because you're going to die, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. And when you're gone, I'll be exactly what my father was, broken beyond repair. So your solution is to push me away? To waste what little time we have?" "My solution is to survive." But even as I said it, I knew it was a lie. Without her, I wouldn't survive. I'd exist, empty, hollow.
Seraphina appeared at my elbow. "Damon, darling, my dance, I believe." Rhea pulled away before I could stop her. Of course, I wouldn't want to keep the Alpha King from his promised bride. The bitterness in her voice cut deeper than any blade. She turned away, and immediately another Alpha, Beta Theron's son, claimed her for the next dance. I stood there, watching her dance with someone else, feeling the mate bond stretch and ache. "She's lovely," Seraphina said, sliding into the dance position. "Too bad she won't last. Omegas never do in positions of power. They're too fragile, too easily broken." "She's not fragile," I said coldly. "She's the strongest person I've ever met." Seraphina's smile faltered. She'd heard the truth in my voice. Everyone had. I lasted 3 more minutes before I couldn't take it anymore. Watching Rhea smile at someone else, dance with someone else, live with someone else while I stood frozen in fear. I left the ballroom without a word, ignoring Seraphina's indignant protest. Went to the only place where I could think, the balcony overlooking the eastern gardens. The full moon hung overhead, bright and cold. In 10 days it would be new, dark, and she would be gone. Unless I found another way, unless the prophecy was wrong, unless... A scream pierced the night. Not pain, terror, pure, absolute terror. I was moving before I realized it, following the screams back into the fortress, through the corridors, down towards the ballroom. The screams were coming from the ballroom. I burst through the doors to chaos, nobles fleeing in every direction, guards trying to maintain order, and in the center of the ballroom, 3 void walkers, their shadow forms towering over fallen wolves. Already I could see bodies aging, essence draining, and Rhea standing between the creatures and a group of nobles, silver light already blazing from her hands. She looked at me across the chaos, and through the mate bond I felt everything, her fear, her determination, her acceptance that this might be how she died. "Not tonight," my wolf snarled. "Not ever." I shifted mid-stride, my wolf bursting free with a roar that shook the chandeliers. The hunt had begun.
Chapter 10. Attack at the Kingdom's Heart. The Voidwalkers materialized between heartbeats. One moment I was accepting another meaningless dance, trying not to think about Damon leaving with Seraphina. The next, screams filled the ballroom as shadow creatures rose from the floor itself. 3 of them, massive, shifting forms with burning red eyes. They moved through the panicking crowd like sharks through water, shadow claws reaching for the nearest wolves. A young noble, barely 18, stumbled in front of me. The nearest Voidwalker lunged. I didn't think, just moved. Silver light exploded from my hands, forming a shield between the creature and its prey. The Voidwalker shrieked, recoiling from the lunar energy. "Get behind me!" I shouted at the nobles frozen in terror. "All of you, now!" They scrambled behind my shield as I expanded it, protecting as many as I could. The Voidwalkers circled, testing the barrier. Their whisper voices scraped against my mind. "Priestess, Light-bearer, your power calls to us. Sweet, delicious, ours." Guards rushed in, weapons drawn. Their blades passed through shadow, useless. One warrior got too close. Shadow claws raked his chest. Gray spread instantly. He aged decades in seconds. I couldn't hold the shield and attack. Couldn't leave these people exposed. Couldn't... A roar shook the chandeliers. Damon's massive wolf form burst through the ballroom doors, silver-gray fur bristling with fury. Our eyes met across the chaos, and through the mate bond, understanding flowed. Together. He attacked the nearest Voidwalker, drawing its attention. I shaped lunar light into a blade and struck while it was distracted. The Voidwalker shrieked as silver light cut through shadow. We moved in perfect synchronization. He'd charge left, forcing it to defend. I'd strike where it was vulnerable. Block, attack, defend, repeat. The mate bond let us anticipate each other's movements. When he dodged left, I was already there with a light blade. When I stumbled from exhaustion, he was there to guard me. The first Voidwalker dissolved into nothing, its shriek of rage echoing. 2 left. Cassius and the elite guard joined the fight, herding the creatures away from civilians. But their weapons still couldn't touch Shadow. Only I could hurt them. The second creature was faster, smarter. It feinted toward Damon, then struck at me. Shadow claws raked my arm. Ice-cold agony spread from the wound. I screamed. Damon's answering roar was pure fury. He threw himself at the creature with reckless abandon, claws and teeth finding purchase in Shadow through sheer, violent determination. I forced healing light into my own wound, purging the void poison. It hurt worse than the initial strike, but the gray stopped spreading. The third Voidwalker materialized behind Damon, larger than the others, stronger. "Behind you!" I screamed. Too late. The creature's claws wrapped around Damon's wolf form, lifting him off the ground. Shadow poured into him, his silver-gray fur beginning to turn gray, aging. No. Terror like I'd never known flooded through me. Through the mate bond, I felt his life force draining, felt him weakening, felt him dying. Something inside me broke, not shattered, erupted. Power exploded from my core like a supernova, silver light so bright it turned night into day, so hot it made the air shimmer. Every window in the ballroom shattered, the floor cracked beneath my feet. Get away from him! The light wave hit all 3 Voidwalkers simultaneously. They shrieked in agony as lunar energy burned through their shadow forms. The one holding Damon released him, stumbling back. I was moving before Damon hit the ground, catching his massive wolf form with strength I shouldn't have possessed. The light from my hands poured into him, forcing out the void corruption, reversing the aging, healing. I felt the exact moment my life force began draining too fast, felt myself burning out like a candle in a hurricane. Worth it. If he lived, it was worth it. Color returned to his fur, his breathing steadied. Through the bond, his consciousness reached for mine. "Stop," he commanded through the bond. "You're killing yourself." "Don't care," I sent back. "Can't lose you." He shifted back to human form in my arms, his hand covering mine. "Then we finish this. Together." The Voidwalkers were reforming, shadow gathering, but they looked smaller now, weaker. Damon stood, pulling me up with him. His hand never left mine. "One more time," he said. "Give me everything you have left." I channeled power through our joined hands. Silver light mixed with gold where we touched, my lunar energy combining with his alpha strength. We released it together. The combined blast struck all 3 creatures. They didn't just dissolve, they shattered, breaking apart into fragments that faded to nothing. Silence crashed over the ballroom. I swayed, Damon caught me, always caught me, pulling me against his bare chest. "Nobody touches her except me," he growled to the room at large. "Is that clear?" Murmurs rippled through the watching nobles. They'd all seen it. The way we fought together. The way he shifted back just to hold my hand. The combined power that had destroyed the Voidwalkers. They knew. Everyone knew. Seraphina stood near the door, her expression unreadable. Kale watched with knowing eyes. The Council Alphas exchanged glances heavy with implication. "Clear the room," Damon ordered. "Cassius, see to the wounded. Everyone else, out." As nobles filed out, I caught sight of movement in the shadows, a figure slipping away through a side door. Lissa. My cousin had been at the gala, and now she was leaving, and something about the smile on her face made my blood run cold. "Damon," I whispered, "did you see?" "Later," he lifted me effortlessly. "Right now, you need rest." "Your chambers or mine?" I asked, too exhausted to care about propriety. "Mine." His arms tightened around me. "You're not leaving my sight, not after tonight." As he carried me through the destroyed ballroom, I let my head rest against his shoulder. Through the mate bond, I felt his resolve crystallizing into something absolute. Something had changed tonight, in both of us. The question was, what happened next?
Chapter 11. Shared Essence. She was dying in my arms. Again. I laid Rhea on my bed, watching silver light flicker weakly beneath her skin. Her breathing was shallow, erratic. Through the mate bond, I felt her life force guttering like a candle in wind. "You saved me," I said, brushing hair from her face. "Almost killed yourself doing it. Again." "Worth it," she whispered, eyes barely open. "Not to me." I pressed my forehead against hers. "Never to me." Arya burst through the door without knocking. She took one look at Rhea and swore. Actually swore, which I'd never heard from the ancient healer. "How many times," she demanded, "how many times has she nearly died healing others?" "Too many. She won't survive until the new moon at this rate. Each healing depletes her more." Arya examined Rhea with clinical efficiency. "Her essence is dangerously low. Another drain like tonight and she'll simply stop." "Then fix it," I growled. "There has to be a way." "There is," she met my eyes. "But it's forbidden. Hasn't been done in centuries." "I don't care about forbidden. Tell me." "Essence sharing. Permanent bonding. You'd give her half your life force, not temporarily like you've been doing, but permanently. Your essences would merge, sustain each other." "Do it." "Your Majesty, you don't understand. This isn't just sharing blood, it's binding your very souls. If one dies, the other dies, always. You'd be tied to her fate, including the prophecy. If she sacrifices herself to seal the void, you die too." I looked at Rhea, barely breathing in my bed, thought about the prophecy, the impossible choice, the death waiting in 10 days. I said, "Do it." Arya studied me for a long moment. "You love her." "Yes." The admission came easier than I expected. "More than kingdom, more than duty, more than my own damned life." "Then understand this. Once bound, there's no separation, ever. In this life or the next." "Good." I pulled Rhea closer, "because I don't want to exist without her." Arya prepared the ritual with practiced efficiency. Ancient symbols drawn on the floor, candles lit, moonstone dust scattered in precise patterns. "The ritual is simple but irreversible," she explained. "You bite your wrist, let blood drip into her mouth, speak the binding words, your essences will merge." I bit my wrist without hesitation. Blood welled, dark and rich with alpha power. I tilted Rhea's head back, pressing my wrist to her lips. "Drink," I commanded softly. Her throat worked reflexively, swallowing. The moment my blood touched her tongue, the ritual circle blazed to life. Silver and gold light spiraled upward, intertwining. Arya handed me a worn parchment. "Speak these words, mean them with everything you are." I read the ancient words, but changed them, made them my own. "My essence to yours, my strength to your weakness, my life to your death. Two bodies, one soul, bound by choice, sealed by love. What the moon has joined, let nothing tear asunder." The ritual circle exploded.
Power slammed through both of us. I gasped as half my life force poured into Rhea and half of hers flowed back. We were mixing, merging, becoming something new while staying ourselves. Through the bond, deeper now, unbreakable, I felt everything. Her memories, her pain, 8 years of abuse and isolation, but also her strength, her compassion, her absolute refusal to let innocence suffer. And she felt me, my fear of the mate bond, the trauma of my father's destruction, the oath I'd sworn to never love, the oath I just shattered completely. Aria's eyes flew open, glowing silver gold. She gasped, back arching as power flooded through her. Color returned to her skin, strength to her limbs. "Damon," she breathed, "I can feel you. Not just the bond. I feel everything." "Good." I pulled her up, crushing her against my chest. "Now you know. Now you feel how much I love you, how I'd burn the world before I let you die alone." She pulled back just enough to look at me. "You bound us. Permanently. If I die, then I die with you. I'm not letting you face the void alone." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "You're an idiot. You're idiot. Forever." I wiped her tears with my thumbs. "The bond is sealed. You're mine. I'm yours. There's no going back." "Good," she whispered and kissed me. The kiss was desperate, hungry. Years of denial and loneliness poured into it. I tangled my hands in her hair, deepening it, needing to be closer, always closer. She made a sound low in her throat that drove my wolf wild. Her hands clutched my shoulders, pulling me down onto the bed with her. Ahem, Aria's voice cut through the haze. "The ritual is complete. I'll just see myself out." The door closed. We were alone. Aria's hands moved to the buttons of my shirt. 10 days, she said between kisses. "We have 10 days before the new moon. Then we'll make them count." I captured her lips again, starting now. Her dress slipped from her shoulders. My shirt hit the floor. Skin against skin, the mate bond singing between us. "I love you," I said against her throat. Should have said it sooner. Should have claimed you the moment our eyes met. "You're saying it now. That's what matters." Her hands traced the tattoos on my arms. I kissed her again, slower this time, savoring. "Now you're bound to me, my Luna, my mate, my everything." "And you're mine," she whispered back. "My alpha, my mate, my impossible, stubborn, beautiful love." A knock at the door shattered the moment. "Your Majesty," Cassius's voice, urgent. "The council demands immediate audience. They witnessed the bond tonight. They're not pleased." Rhea tensed. I pulled her closer, protective fury rising. "Tell them to wait until morning," I called back. "Your Majesty, they're threatening." "I don't care what they're threatening." I turned back to Rhea, who was smiling despite everything. "This isn't over," I promised. "We have 10 days, and I intend to spend every moment of them with you. Even when the council rebels, especially then." I kissed her forehead. "You're my mate. They'll accept it or answer to me." Through the bond, I felt her love and fear mixing. The council was the least of our problems. In 10 days, we'd face something far worse. But tonight, we were together, bound, unbreakable. And that would have to be enough.
Chapter 12. Trial of Alphas. The council chamber felt colder than before, or maybe it was just the 12 pairs of eyes fixed on me with varying degrees of hostility. I stood beside Damon's throne, acutely aware of the mark on my shoulder, his claiming bite, still tender, still burning with the memory of last night. Through the bond, I felt his steady presence, his absolute resolve. We'd had one night, one perfect, desperate night of finally being together before the council demanded this audience. Alpha Marcus stood first. "Your Majesty has created a forbidden bond with an Omega, a defective Omega. This is a bloodline betrayal of the highest order." Damon's hand found mine, fingers intertwining.
She's not defective. She's the last lunar priestess, the most powerful wolf in this room. She's an Omega, Seraphina said coldly. Omegas cannot be Luna. It's not just tradition, it's law. Alphas rule, Omegas serve. Then the law is wrong, I said quietly. Every head turned toward me. I didn't ask for this power, didn't ask to be priestess, didn't ask for the mate bond. But I'm here, and in 7 days I'm going to seal the void. If I survive, maybe we can discuss pack politics. If I don't, this argument is pointless anyway. Alpha Theron leaned forward. That's precisely the issue, girl. You won't survive. The prophecy is clear. And when you die, you take our Alpha King with you, thanks to his foolish bonding ritual. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the council. My bond is not up for debate, Damon said, his voice dropping to alpha command. Rhea is my mate, my Luna. Accept it. We cannot, Alpha Marcus stood. Your Majesty, with all due respect, you've left us no choice. The Council hereby issues an ultimatum. Damon went very still beside me. Through the bond, I felt ice spreading through his veins. You have 7 days, Seraphina continued. Break the bond with the Omega and fulfill your engagement to me, or 6 packs will withdraw their allegiance. Civil war, Your Majesty. That's what your choice has brought us. The bond cannot be broken, I said, stepping forward. It's permanent, essence sharing. Even if we wanted to. Then you die, Marcus said flatly. You were always going to die anyway, girl. 7 days from now, you face the void. Simply don't return. Let the prophecy take you. The Alpha King will be free. Except he won't, Kale spoke up from his seat. The essence bond means when she dies, he dies. That's what you're all conveniently ignoring. Then perhaps, Alpha Theron said slowly, the girl shouldn't face the void at all. Let someone else seal it, someone expendable. No one else can, I said. Only priestess blood can seal the void. It has to be me. Then we're at an impasse. Seraphina's smile was sharp. The Alpha King bonded himself to a dead woman walking. In 7 days, we lose both of you and descend into chaos. Unless what? Damon's voice was dangerous. Unless you find another way. The prophecy says Moon's blood must feed the seal. Perhaps there's a different interpretation. Perhaps you don't have to die. Hope flared in my chest before I could stop it. Every priestess before me died. Every single one. Every priestess before you was alone, Kale said thoughtfully. You have a mate. The prophecy mentions that. When Moon and Storm unite. Maybe that changes things. Or maybe it changes nothing, Marcus snapped. Regardless, the Council's position is clear. 7 days, Your Majesty. Break the bond and marry Seraphina, or face rebellion. Damon stood, pulling me up with him. This council is dismissed. Your Majesty, I said dismissed. The Alpha Command shook the walls. You have your answer. Rhea is my mate, my Luna. I will not break the bond. I will not marry Seraphina. If that means war, so be it. Then war it is, Marcus said coldly. The Alphas filed out, their hostility palpable. Only Kale paused at the door, looking back at us with something like sympathy. For what it's worth, I think you're right, about everything. Good luck, Your Majesties. Then we were alone. I turned to Damon, seeing the weight settling on his shoulders. You just chose me over your kingdom. I chose us. There's a difference. He cupped my face. Let them rebel. Let them try. By the time they organize, you'll have sealed the void. We'll be heroes or we'll be dead. Either way, their ultimatum becomes meaningless. You're really willing to risk civil war for me? I'm willing to risk everything for you. He kissed me, deep and claiming. 7 days, Rhea.
Let's not waste them on politics. What do? We find another way. Kale was right. Every priestess before you was alone. You're not. We face the void together, and we find a way for both of us to survive. And if we can't, then we die together. His arms tightened around me. But I'd rather live with you, so we're going to fight like hell to make that happen. Through the bond, I felt his absolute certainty, his love, his refusal to accept my death. 7 days, I whispered. 7 days to find a miracle. He pressed his forehead to mine. But first, I'm taking you away from here, away from the council, the prophecy, all of it. Just you, me, and 7 days of borrowed time. I followed him from the council chamber, leaving behind the ultimatum, the threats, the impossible choice. 7 days until the new moon. 7 days until I faced the void. 7 days to live a lifetime. It would have to be enough.
Chapter 13. 7 Days of Paradise. Day 1. Damon. The cabin stood exactly where I remembered, hidden deep in Moonwhisper Forest, known only to the royal bloodline. My father brought me here once, before everything fell apart. Rhea stepped inside, eyes widening at the simplicity. One room, stone fireplace, bed covered in furs. Nothing royal, nothing political, just shelter. "It's perfect," she whispered. I built a fire while she explored. When I turned, she was standing by the window, moonlight painting her silver. "If we only have 7 days," she said softly, "I want every second to count." I crossed to her, pulling her against my chest. "Then let's not waste time talking." I carried her to the bed. The claiming mark on her shoulder called to me, and I kissed it gently before trailing down. Her breath hitched. Through the bond, I felt every sensation doubled, hers and mine, mixing, amplifying. This was what I'd denied myself, what I'd feared. But lying with her, skin against skin, I understood. The mate bond wasn't a weakness. It was everything.
Day 2. Come on, I laughed, tugging Damon toward the stream. You promised to teach me to hunt. I did no such thing, he said. But he was smiling, that rare, genuine smile I'd only seen a handful of times. Shift with me, I said. My wolf wants to run with yours. He shifted first, massive silver-gray wolf, storm cloud markings, eyes that held centuries of alpha power. Then I let my wolf emerge. For the first time in 8 years, she came willingly, completely. Silver fur gleamed in the sunlight, gold markings swirling across my legs, marks from the essence bond. Through the bond, I felt Damon's awe. Beautiful, he sent. You're so beautiful. We ran through the forest like pups, chasing each other, play fighting, free. For a few hours, we weren't Luna and Alpha King. We were just mates.
Day 3. I taught her to fight. Real fighting, not the ceremonial sparring Omegas learned. "Use my weight against me," I instructed, circling her. "When I charge, sidestep and—" She swept my legs. I hit the ground hard, and she was on top of me instantly, laughing. "Like that?" "Exactly like that." I flipped us, pinning her beneath me. "Except when facing the void, you won't have the element of surprise." Her smile faded. "Damon, we need to talk about—" "No," I kissed her, cutting off the words. "Not today. Today, we train. We live. We pretend we have forever." "But we don't." "Then let me have this, please." She pulled me down for another kiss. "Okay, forever can wait one more day."
Day 4. We swam in the lake, racing across its width. I won, barely, and he claimed it was only because he let me. Admit it, I teased, splashing him. Your Luna is faster. My Luna is many things. He pulled me close, water lapping around us. Fast, strong,
Infuriatingly stubborn. Sounds like someone I know. His expression softened. I never thought I could have this. Peace, happiness, love. You have it now. For 3 more days. The pain in his voice cut through me. Then you face the void. Then we'll make these 3 days count.
Day 5. I woke before dawn to find her studying the prophecy scroll she'd brought. Tears tracked down her cheeks. Rhea, every interpretation leads to the same conclusion. I have to die, Damon. There's no way around it. I took the scroll and threw it in the fire. She gasped, but I pulled her against me. No more prophecy. No more death predictions. We face the void in 2 days, and we'll find a way, together. What if there is no way? Then we die together. I kissed her forehead. But I refused to accept that. Love changes things. It changed me. Maybe it can change prophecy too.
Day 6. Run away with me, Damon said suddenly. We were lying under the stars, wrapped in furs. What? Forget the void. Forget the council. We could disappear. Live out our days somewhere no one would find us. I turned to face him, seeing the desperation in his eyes. Thousands would die. Children, families, everyone we've sworn to protect. I know, he pulled me closer. I know, and I hate myself for even suggesting it. But the thought of losing you won't lose me. You can't promise that. No, but I can promise I'll fight. We'll both fight. I pressed my hand over his heart. We're bound, remember? 2 hearts, 1 soul. Maybe that's the key.
Day 7. Our last day. I officially marked her at sunrise, bit her shoulder, completing the mate bond in every traditional way. She marked me in return, her smaller teeth leaving a permanent crescent on my collarbone. You're my Luna, I said, tracing the mark on her skin. My queen, my everything. And you're mine, she whispered back. My alpha, my love, my home. We made love slowly, savoring every touch, every kiss. Through the bond, our emotions merged completely. Love and fear and desperate hope all tangled together. As the sun set, painting the cabin gold, a messenger wolf howled in the distance. Rhea tensed in my arms. Morgath was seen, coming tonight. I pulled her closer, not ready to let go. We knew this was coming. I'm not ready. Neither am I. I kissed her one more time, deep, claiming, desperate. But we'll face it together. You're not alone anymore. You'll never be alone again. I'll love you in every life, she said, tears streaming. Then let's make sure we survive this one. We dressed in silence, donning armor and weapons. 7 perfect days, gone in a heartbeat. Now reality crashed back. Prophecy, duty, sacrifice. As we left the cabin and headed back toward the capital, I held her hand tight. Tonight, we'd face the void. Tonight, we'd either save the world or die trying. But one thing was certain. We'd do it together. Chapter 14. The Betrayal Revealed. The capital was preparing for war when we returned. Warriors lined the walls, civilians evacuated to underground shelters. The air itself felt heavy with anticipation, like the moment before lightning strikes. Cassius met us at the gates. Your Majesty, Luna. He bowed to Rhea, a gesture that would have been unthinkable 2 weeks ago. Morgath's portal is forming at the northern border. We have perhaps 3 hours before he fully manifests. Battle formations? I asked. Ready. Every warrior we have, even those from packs threatening rebellion. When facing extinction, politics become irrelevant. Rhea touched my arm. I need to see Lissa. Your cousin? Why? Because something's been bothering me. Through the bond, I felt his suspicion crystallizing into certainty. At the gala, when the Void Walkers attacked, I saw her leaving, smiling. Damon, what if... A messenger burst into the courtyard. Your Majesty, there's been a breach in the Moon Tower. Someone's been accessing forbidden texts. Rhea went pale. The tower, where Arya keeps the Void sealing rituals. We ran. The tower door hung open, ancient locks shattered. Inside, scrolls lay scattered across the floor, and standing in the center, surrounded by black smoke that reeked of Void corruption, Lyssa. But not the Lyssa I'd seen at council meetings. Her emerald eyes had turned black as pitch. Shadow tendrils writhed around her arms. When she smiled, it was wrong, too wide, too knowing. Cousin, she purred, right on time. Lyssa, Rhea's voice broke. What did you do? What I should have done years ago. Lyssa stepped forward, darkness pooling at her feet. Claimed what was rightfully mine. I moved in front of Rhea, but she pushed past me. The Void Walkers, you've been helping them. How long? Since I was 16. Since the priestess power skipped me and went to you instead. Venom dripped from every word. My mother was your mother's older sister. I should have inherited the bloodline. But no, it went to pathetic little Rhea, who couldn't even shift properly. So you made a deal, I said coldly, with Morgath. He promised me power, real power, not the silver light that should have been mine. Lyssa's hands crackled with dark energy. All I had to do was weaken the seal, let his scouts through, and when dear cousin finally sacrifices herself, as the prophecy demands, the priestess power will transfer to the next living female relative, me. Rhea swayed. I caught her, feeling her devastation through the bond. You were the only one who was kind to me, the only family who didn't treat me like garbage. I was patient, Lyssa corrected, waiting for you to die so I could finally have what's mine. But you just kept surviving, kept healing others, depleting yourself yet somehow not dying. She laughed high and cruel. Then the Alpha King bonds with you, and suddenly you're strong again. Inconvenient. The attacks, I said, pieces clicking together. The Void Walkers at Riverside, at the gala, you told them where to strike. Of course, each attack forced Rhea to use her power, drain herself. I was so close. Lyssa's expression twisted with rage. But then you shared essence with her, bound yourself to her fate. Stupid, noble fool. Rhea stepped forward, silver light beginning to glow from her hands. Did you kill my father? Lyssa's smile was answer enough. He discovered the truth, found texts I'd been reading, Void summoning rituals. He was going to expose me, so I pushed him from the eastern tower, made it look like an accident. The silver light around Rhea blazed brighter. You murdered him, murdered my father because he knew you were a traitor. He was weak. You're all weak. Darkness exploded from Lyssa's hands. But soon Morgath will rise, you'll be dead, and I'll finally have the power I deserve. She attacked. Dark energy slammed into Rhea. I threw myself between them, taking the blast. Pain exploded through my chest as void corruption began spreading. Damon! Rhea screamed. Through the bond, I felt her terror, felt healing light pour into me, burning away the darkness. But Lyssa was already launching another attack. Rhea caught the blast with a shield of silver light. Get up, she commanded me. We end this, now. I struggled to my feet, the void wound still burning. Lyssa and Rhea circled each other, light and shadow crackling between them. I've been training with Morgath for years. Void magic against your precious lunar light. You can't win, cousin. Maybe not. Rhea's voice was steady despite her tears, but I have to try. They clashed in an explosion of light and shadow. The tower shook. Ancient stones cracked. I could only watch as Rhea fought her cousin,
the girl who'd pretended to love her while plotting her death. Lissa was strong. The void had enhanced her beyond normal wolf capabilities. But Rhea was stronger. Weeks of training, the essence bond with me, pure righteous fury, all of it poured into her attacks. A blast of silver light struck Lissa in the chest. She stumbled, darkness flickering. "You can't kill me," Lissa gasped. "We're family. You're too soft." Rhea drove a spear of pure light through Lissa's heart. "Family doesn't murder fathers," Rhea said quietly. "Family doesn't betray their blood." Lissa's eyes cleared for just a moment, emerald green instead of black. "Cousin, I'm sorry." Then the void left her body in a rush of shadow, and she crumpled, dead. Rhea fell to her knees beside the body, silver light fading. Sobs racked her frame. I crossed to her, pulling her against my chest. "She killed my father," Rhea choked out. "She's been planning this for years, and I never knew. I thought she loved me." "I know. I'm sorry." I held her as she grieved, for the cousin she thought she had, for the father murdered, for the betrayal that cut deeper than any blade. The tower trembled, not from battle this time, from something far worse. A roar split the night, ancient, terrible, filled with hunger. Morgath. I pulled Rhea to her feet. "He's here. The portal is fully open." She wiped her tears, jaw set with determination. "Then we end this, all of it, tonight." Hand in hand, we left the tower, left Lissa's body and her betrayal behind. The final battle had begun.
Chapter 15. Preparation for War. The northern horizon burned black. The void portal twisted in the sky like a wound in reality itself, vomiting shadow creatures into our world. From the walls, I could see hundreds, no, thousands of void walkers streaming through. "Moon above," Cassius breathed beside me. "There are too many." "Then we fight smarter, not harder." Damon's voice was pure alpha command. "Warriors hold the line, keep them contained. Rhea reaches the portal." "Your Majesty," Alpha Marcus spoke up, despite the ultimatum he'd come with his warriors. "How do we fight shadows? Our claws pass through them." I stepped forward, calling lunar light to my hands. "I can bless your weapons. My power will let you harm them." "All of them?" Seraphina asked. "There are 500 warriors here." "Then I'd better start now." I looked at Damon. "It'll drain me. A lot." Through the bond, I felt his fear, his protest, but he nodded. "Do it. I'll be right beside you." The warriors formed lines. One by one, I touched their weapons, swords, claws, teeth. Silver light flowed from my palms, blessing each with lunar power. After 50, sweat poured down my face. After 100, blood dripped from my nose. After 200, my legs trembled. Damon's hand found mine, essence flowing through our bond. "Take what you need." I drew on his strength, his alpha power, and continued. 300, 400, 450. The last warrior stepped forward. Kale. He knelt, offering his sword. "Luna, it's been an honor." "Don't talk like you're dying," I said, blessing his blade. "We're all surviving this." He smiled sadly. "As you command, Luna." Done. 500 warriors, all armed with light. I sagged against Damon, utterly depleted. "Rhea!" "I'm fine." I forced myself upright. "Just need a minute." A roar shook the earth. Through the portal, something massive moved. Not the lesser Voidwalkers. Something ancient, powerful. Morgath. The creature that emerged stood 15 feet tall, body constantly shifting between shadow and something almost solid. Red eyes burned like coals. When it spoke, 1,000 voices echoed. "Priestess, last of your bloodline, your ancestor imprisoned me. Now I shall feast on your essence and break free forever."
Damon shifted beside me, his massive wolf form bristling with fury. Through the bond, "Stay behind me." "Never," I sent back. "We fight together." "Warriors," I called out, my voice carrying across the walls. "Hold the line. Don't let the lesser walkers reach the civilians." "For the Luna!" someone shouted. "For the Luna! For the Luna!" The chant spread like wildfire. The Void Walkers crashed into our line, but this time, blessed weapons cut through shadow. Warriors who would have been helpless now fought with deadly efficiency. Damon and I moved as one towards Morgath. The demon god watched us approach, amusement in those burning eyes. "How touching. You think love will save you? Your ancestor thought the same. She died screaming." "She also sealed you for 200 years, I shot back. "I'll do better. I'll make it permanent." "With what?" Morgath spread his arms. "You're already depleted. Blessing those warriors drained you. You have nothing left for the sealing ritual." He's right. I could feel my essence flickering like a dying flame. Even with Damon's strength, I'd pushed myself too far. "Then I'll give her mine," Damon said, shifting back to human form. "All of it." "No." "Yes." He cupped my face. "The prophecy says Moon's blood must feed the seal, but it doesn't say only your blood. We're bonded. My essence is yours. My life is yours. If you give me everything, you'll die." "Maybe, or maybe we both survive because we're together." He kissed me, deep and desperate. "Either way, I'm not letting you face this alone." Morgath attacked. Shadow tentacles lashed out. Damon shifted, intercepting them. His blessed claws, enhanced by our bond, actually tore through the darkness. Morgath shrieked in surprise and rage. I manifested light spears striking at Morgath's core. Each hit made the creature flinch, but it wasn't enough. He was too strong, fed by 2 centuries of accumulated darkness. "You cannot win," Morgath roared. "I am eternal. I am the void itself." "Nothing is eternal. Everything ends." I reached for the portal's core, feeling its wrongness. This was the wound in reality. This was what needed to close. "Damon," I called, "I need to reach the portal. Buy me time." His wolf form charged Morgath, claws and teeth finding purchase in shadow. The demon god turned his full attention to Damon, recognizing the threat. I ran towards the portal. Behind me, I heard Damon's battle roar, felt through the bond as Morgath's claws raked his side. His pain was my pain. His fury was my fury. I reached the portal's edge, placing my hands on the writhing darkness. It burned like ice, like fire, like nothing I'd ever felt. The sealing ritual began.
Chapter 16. The Dark Horde. Morgath's lieutenant materialized in front of me, a massive shadow creature, 10 feet tall, more solid than the others. Behind it, the Horde pressed forward, trying to reach Rhea. Not happening. I lunged, claws enhanced by Rhea's blessing and our essence bond. They tore through shadow flesh. The lieutenant shrieked, actually bleeding darkness. "You dare wound me, wolf?" It struck back, shadow claws raking my shoulder. Ice-cold agony spread through the wound. Through the bond, I felt Rhea beginning the ritual, felt her pulling on our shared essence. She needed time. I'd give her every second I had. Cassius and the elite guard formed a defensive line behind me. "Your Majesty, there are too many." "Then we hold anyway," I roared back, launching at the lieutenant again. The creature was strong, ancient. It caught me mid-leap, shadow tentacles wrapping around my wolf form. They squeezed, crushing. I felt ribs crack. Cassius attacked from the side, blessed blade cutting through a tentacle. KL struck from the other side. The lieutenant released me to deal with them. I hit the ground hard.
pain exploding through my chest. But through the bond, I felt Rhea's progress, felt her channeling power into the seal. "Hold on," she sent. "Almost there." "Take what you need," I sent back. "All of it." The lieutenant turned back to me. "Pathetic. Your mate will die. You will die. All will feed the void." I forced myself up, ignoring broken ribs and bleeding wounds. Shifted to human form, more vulnerable, but I could speak. "You're wrong. She's going to seal you. All of you, forever." The creature laughed. "With what power? She's depleted, dying even now from the ritual's cost." Through the bond, I felt it. Rhea's life force draining rapidly. The ritual was killing her, just like the prophecy said. "Then she uses mine," I said, and opened myself completely to the bond. Poured my essence, my alpha strength, my very life into her. The lieutenant struck, shadow claws driving through my chest. I felt them pierce my heart. But I didn't stop. Kept channeling everything to Rhea. If she needed my life to seal the void, she could have it. "No!" Cassius caught me as I fell. "Your Majesty!" My vision blurred. Blood filled my mouth. Through the bond, I felt Rhea's scream of denial. "Damon!" "Finish it," I sent, barely holding consciousness. "End this. I love you." The lieutenant loomed over me. The king dies. The Luna follows. Morgath wins. It raised shadow claws for the killing blow. Silver light exploded across the battlefield. Not from the portal, from me, from the essence bond connecting us. Rhea was channeling power back, healing me even as she completed the ritual. My heart restarted. The hole in my chest closed. I gasped, alive when I should be dead. "Together," she sent. "We do this together or not at all." I shifted back to wolf form, powered by her healing, by our bond, by love that refused to accept death. The lieutenant had one moment to look shocked before I tore out its throat. It dissolved into nothing, shrieking. More Voidwalkers swarmed forward, but the warriors held. Seraphina fought beside KL. Alpha Marcus defended civilians. Even the Pack's threatening rebellion fought with everything they had. Because Rhea had blessed them. Because she'd given them the power to fight back. Through the bond, I felt the ritual nearing completion. Felt Rhea pulling on every ounce of power we had together. "Push forward," I roared. "Clear a path to the portal." The warriors charged. Blessed weapons cut through shadow. We drove the horde back, step by bloody step. Morgath realized what was happening, abandoned the warriors and turned towards Rhea. "No!" The demon god's roar shook the earth. "You will not seal me again!" He charged at Rhea, massive and terrible, darkness incarnate. I threw myself in his path. Through the bond, how long? 30 seconds, she sent back. "Hold him." 30 seconds. I just had to survive 30 seconds against a god. "Come on, then," I roared at Morgath. "You want her? You go through me." The demon god struck. Shadow tentacles wrapped around me, lifting me off the ground. They squeezed, crushing. I felt ribs crack. 20 seconds. I bit through a tentacle, clawed at another. My blessed attacks actually hurt him, but not enough. 15 seconds. Morgath's other hand reached for Rhea. Cassius threw himself in the way, was flung aside like a doll. 10 seconds. "Almost done," Rhea's voice rang out. "Damon, on my mark, break free and run." 5 seconds. "Now!" I shifted to human form, smaller, slipping through the tentacles. Shifted back to wolf mid-fall, hit the ground running. Morgath lunged after me, after Rhea. Too late. Rhea's hands blazed with silver light so bright it turned night into day. The ancient words of sealing poured from her lips in a voice not entirely her own, her ancestors speaking through her. The portal began to close. Morgath screamed, not in rage, in fear. "No! No! You cannot!" The void pulled him back, pulled all his creatures back. They fought, clawed, screamed, but the portal was collapsing, dragging them home. I reached Rhea's side just as she drove her hands into the portal's heart. Together, we sealed it.
Chapter 17. Cousin's Blood. My hands burned where they touched the portal's core. Not pain, something beyond pain. Every nerve screaming as I poured our combined essence into the ancient seal. Through the bond, I felt Damon fighting, felt him nearly gone, felt myself healing him reflexively, even though it cost precious power. I couldn't lose him. Wouldn't. The portal fought back, trying to stay open. Morgoth's will pressed against mine, centuries of accumulated darkness trying to overwhelm my light. You cannot win, priestess. Morgoth's voice thundered even as the portal pulled him back. I am eternal. I will return. Not if I seal you properly, I gritted out. The words of sealing poured from my lips, not just mine, but every priestess before me. My ancestors speaking through me, their power flowing into the ritual. The portal began collapsing. Voidwalkers shrieked as they were dragged back into darkness. The tear in reality stitched itself closed, inch by agonizing inch. Almost there. Almost. Morgoth lashed out one final time, not at me, at Damon. A massive shadow tendril shot through the closing portal, wrapping around Damon's wolf form. It yanked him toward the void. No! I screamed. Morgoth's laughter echoed. If I cannot have you, priestess, I take your mate. Watch him suffer for eternity in my realm. Damon clawed at the ground, but the pull was too strong. He was sliding toward the portal, toward the void, toward endless darkness. Through the bond. Close it, he sent. Finish the seal. Let me go. Never. I had one hand on the portal, maintaining the seal. If I let go, it would reopen. Morgoth would escape. Everything we'd fought for would be lost. But if I didn't help Damon, he'd be dragged into the void, lost forever. The prophecy echoed in my mind. Moon's blood must feed the seal. Blood. Not death, not sacrifice. Moon's blood. I manifested a light blade with my free hand and drove it through my palm. An intense liquid poured from the wound, silver red, glowing with lunar power. I let it drip into the portal's core. The reaction was instantaneous. The seal flared brilliant silver, feeding my essence, my very life force. But it held without my hand maintaining it. I ran to Damon, grabbing his wolf form with both hands. Light blazed from my palms, burning away the shadow tendril. Morgoth shrieked, "You impossible! The seal requires your death." "No," I gasped, pulling Damon back from the edge. "It requires love, real love, the kind that gives everything but demands nothing." Through the bond, Damon poured his essence into me, I poured mine into him. We became a circuit of power, feeding the seal together. Silver and gold light spiraled into the portal. Not death, life, our life, given freely but not surrendered. The portal collapsed completely. Morgoth's final scream echoed, "No!" Then, silence. The battlefield went still. Voidwalkers dissolved into nothing. The darkness lifted like fog burning away under sunlight. Where the portal had been, a crystal seal remained, silver shot through with gold, unbreakable, permanent. I collapsed. Damon shifted to human form, catching me. We fell together, exhausted beyond measure. Through the bond, I felt his heartbeat, strong, steady, alive. "We did it," I whispered. "You did it." He pulled me against his chest. "You changed the prophecy, found another way." "We did," I looked up at him, "together, like it was always meant to be." Around us, warriors began to stir. Cheers erupted.
Someone started chanting, "Luna! Luna!" and the whole army took it up. But I only had eyes for Damon, for my mate, my love, my impossible, stubborn, beautiful Alpha King. "I love you," I said. "I love you," he echoed. "More than kingdom, more than duty, more than anything." He kissed me then, deep and claiming, while our army cheered and the dawn broke over the horizon. We'd won, not by death or sacrifice, but by love, by choosing each other again and again, even when the world demanded otherwise. The prophecy was wrong, or maybe we'd just written a better ending. Either way, we were alive, together, and that was all that mattered.
Chapter 18. The Broken Seal. Rhea woke 3 days after the battle. I'd stayed by her side the entire time, refusing to leave even for council meetings. Cassius handled the aftermath, casualties, rebuilding, the political storm brewing. None of it mattered if she didn't wake up. Her eyes fluttered open, amber gold with rings of silver now, permanent marks from the ceiling. Beautiful. "Hey," she whispered. "Hey yourself." I pressed a kiss to her forehead. "You've been asleep for 3 days. Thought you were going to sleep through your own coronation." "Coronation?" She tried to sit up. I helped her, supporting her back. "The council witnessed everything. You sealed the void, saved the entire wolf realm. They can hardly refuse to acknowledge you as Luna now." I traced the silver scars on her arms, where the sealing power had burned through her skin, though I'd have made them acknowledge you regardless. She looked down at herself, noticing the changes. "I feel different, stronger, but also changed." "You are." I held up a mirror. She gasped. Her hair now held permanent silver highlights that glowed faintly in shadows. Her eyes had those gold rings around the silver. The crescent moon mark on her shoulder blazed brighter. "I look like the illustrations in the ancient texts," she breathed. "You look like what you are, the most powerful lunar priestess in 1,000 years." I tilted her chin up. "And you're mine." "Always," she whispered. Arya bustled in without knocking. "Ah, you're awake. Good. I need to examine you both." "Both?" Rhea asked. "The essence bond changed you both fundamentally." Arya began her examination, checking Rhea's pulse, her eyes, the silver scars. "Your power is permanently intertwined now. You share more than essence. You share abilities." "What do you mean?" I asked. "Try healing something small, a scratch, a bruise." I focused on a cut on my hand from the battle. Silver light flickered from my palm, weak but present. The cut closed. "Moon above, I can heal." "And you," Arya turned to Rhea, "try calling Alpha Command, just a small one." Rhea's eyes widened, then narrowed in concentration. "Arya, sit." The command wasn't as strong as mine, but it was there. Arya felt it, her body automatically wanting to obey before her age and experience let her resist. "Remarkable," Arya murmured. "You've truly become two halves of one whole. She has your alpha strength, you have her lunar healing. It's unprecedented." "Is it permanent?" Rhea asked. "Yes. The sealing ritual sealed more than the void. It sealed your bond at the deepest possible level." Arya smiled. "Congratulations. You're the first true dual soul bond in recorded history." Through our bond, I felt Rhea's wonder mixing with mine. We'd given up our individual powers to save each other, and somehow gained something better: balance. A knock at the door. Cassius entered, bowing. "Your Majesty, Luna, the Council requests your presence. They wish to apologize." That got my attention. Apologize. To the ultimatum, for doubting the Luna, for everything. Cassius's expression was carefully neutral. Alpha Marcus specifically requested to speak with Luna Rhea. Rhea tensed. Through the bond, I felt her anxiety mixed with grim determination. Let's get this over with. The council chamber was packed. All 12 alphas, their betas, dozens of witnesses. But everyone stood when we entered, even Marcus. Rhea walked beside me, head high despite her exhaustion. She looked every inch the Luna, powerful, regal, untouchable. Luna Rhea, Marcus said, his voice thick with emotion. I must ask your forgiveness, publicly, before the council and the moon goddess herself. Then he did something I'd never seen in my life. Alpha Marcus, proud ruler of Moon River Pack, dropped to both knees. I treated you as less than nothing, called you defective, worthless, made your life a misery. His voice cracked. And you saved us anyway. Saved my pack, my warriors, my children. You could have let us die. We deserved it, but you didn't. Rhea stood silent, waiting. I have no right to ask, but I beg your forgiveness, and I swear on my life, on my pack, that I will never again judge a wolf by their rank instead of their character. One by one, the rest of Moon River Pack, warriors who tormented her, nobles who'd sneered, dropped to their knees. Luna, they said in unison, forgive us. Through the bond, I felt Rhea's turmoil, years of pain, humiliation, abuse. They'd broken her in ways that still ached, but they also taught her strength, compassion, the ability to love despite being unloved. Rise, she said finally, her voice steady. All of you, rise. They obeyed. The past is past. I won't forget what happened, can't forget, but I can choose to move forward. She looked at each of them. Moon River Pack is my home. You are my people. Let's build something better together. The grace in her words stunned me. She could have demanded revenge, punishment. Instead, she offered reconciliation. Seraphina stepped forward. Luna, I too must apologize. I saw you as competition, as threat, but you showed me what true strength looks like. She bowed deeply. You're a better Luna than I could ever be. It's an honor to serve you. Kale was next. You proved everyone wrong, Luna, myself included. Your first official act, establishing sanctuary for Omegas, it's already changing lives. Sanctuary? Rhea asked, looking at me confused. I mentioned it before the battle, that nobody should be called weak for being different. I made it official. Any wolf rejected by their pack has sanctuary here, protection, training, a chance to prove themselves. Tears filled her eyes. You did that for me? I did it because it was right, because you showed me strength comes in many forms. I pulled her close, and because my Luna deserves a kingdom that reflects her values. The council erupted in applause. Howls of approval echoed through the chamber. Then it's decided, I announced. Tomorrow at sunset, we hold the coronation. Luna Rhea will be officially crowned before all 12 packs. More cheers, more howls. But all I cared about was the woman in my arms, the one who'd rewritten prophecy, who'd saved us all, who chose love over death. My Luna, my mate, my everything.
Chapter 19. 2 Hearts, 1 Soul. The vault beneath the fortress held the sealed Morgath crystal. Silver and gold swirled together in eternal imprisonment. Damon and I stood before it the night before my coronation. Arya had requested we see it one last time to understand what we'd created. It's beautiful, I whispered. Terrible, but beautiful. Like you, Damon teased. I elbowed him. Arya traced the crystal's surface with one gnarled finger. Do you understand what you accomplished? Not just sealing the void, but how you did it. We gave blood instead of death, fed the seal with our essence together. More than that, Arya gestured to the crystal. Look closely. What do you see? I studied it. The silver and gold weren't just mixed, they spiraled together in a pattern, a familiar pattern. It's like our bond, Damon said, seeing it too. The way our essences connected. Exactly, Arya smiled. Every priestess before you sealed the void alone. They gave their lives, one sacrifice, one death, temporary seal. But you two, you gave your bond, two souls united permanently. That's why this seal will never break. The prophecy, I breathed. When moon and storm unite, it wasn't about us working together, it was about becoming one. The prophecy was never wrong, Arya continued, just misunderstood. Light's death brings eternal silence. But light doesn't mean you, it means the separate lights you were. Those died. In their place, you became one unified light, stronger, eternal. Through the bond, I felt Damon's wonder matching mine. We'd thought we'd defied prophecy. Instead, we'd fulfilled it perfectly. There's more, Arya said. The essence sharing has consequences beyond what I told you before. What consequences? Damon's arm tightened around me protectively. You're bound, completely, forever, in this life and every one after. She looked at us seriously. If one dies, the other dies, always. There's no breaking this bond, not by choice, not by death, not by anything. Good, I said immediately. Good, Damon echoed. I don't want to exist without her anyway. Arya's eyes softened. Then you understand. You're not just mates, you're soul-bound. One soul in two bodies. It's never happened before, may never happen again. She pulled out a worn scroll. I found this in the archives, written by the first priestess thousands of years ago, a prophecy within the prophecy. I read it aloud. When the last moon rises and the storm breaks, two shall become one, not by death but by love's sacrifice, not by ending but by beginning. They will seal what was opened, mend what was broken, and prove that love, true love, conquers even the void itself. Their children will carry both lights, beginning a new age where moon and storm dance as one. My hand went to my stomach. Damon's eyes widened. Children? He whispered. Arya nodded. The sealing changed you both, balanced your essences perfectly, and that balance, she smiled, creates life. You're pregnant, Luna, has been since the ritual. I couldn't finish, couldn't breathe. How do you know? Your scent changed, your essence. I've delivered enough royal births to recognize the signs. She placed a hand on my stomach. Twins, a boy and a girl. They'll have your lunar power and his alpha strength, the first of a new bloodline. Damon dropped to his knees, pressing his forehead against my stomach. Through the bond, I felt his overwhelming joy, his fierce protectiveness, his absolute awe. We're going to have children, he whispered against my skin. Moon and stars, Rhea. They'll be powerful, Arya warned. More powerful than either of you. You must teach them control, compassion, the balance you've found. We will, I promised, running my fingers through Damon's hair. We'll teach them that strength comes in many forms, that love is the greatest power, that being different isn't being defective. Damon stood, pulling me into his arms. Our family, he said. Everything I never let myself want. Everything I was too afraid to hope for. And you gave it all to me. We gave it to each other, I corrected. He kissed me then, slow, tender, full of promises. Through the bond, I felt everything he felt. His love, his hope, his dreams of our future. And I sent back my own. My love for him, for our unborn children, for the life we'd fought so hard to have. Tomorrow, you'll be crowned Luna before all 12 packs, but tonight, you're just mine, and I'm just yours. Always, I whispered, in this life and every one after. We left the vault hand in hand, the sealed Morgath crystal glowing softly behind us, proof that love could rewrite even the darkest prophecies. Tomorrow would bring ceremony and politics and duty, but tonight was ours, just the two of us, soon to be 4. One soul in 2 bodies,
about to become something even more miraculous. A family.
Chapter 20. Golden Awakening. The coronation took place in the same great hall where I'd been humiliated weeks ago. Hundreds of wolves packed the space, all 12 packs represented, nobles and warriors and common wolves alike. The hall that had echoed with their laughter at my expense now fell silent with reverence. I wore a dress of silver and gold that seemed to shift with every movement, created by the pack's finest seamstresses. My hair fell in waves, those permanent silver highlights catching the candlelight. The crescent moon mark on my shoulder was bare, visible, a badge of honor, not shame. Damon waited at the center of the hall, magnificent in formal robes. His eyes tracked me as I walked the aisle, and through our bond I felt everything: pride, love, fierce protectiveness over me and our unborn children. Alpha Marcus stood first. The man who'd made my life misery now knelt before the entire assembly. Luna Rhea, his voice carried across the hall. On behalf of Moon River Pack, I pledge loyalty. We are honored to call you ours. The entire Moon River contingent knelt with him. One by one, the other alphas rose and knelt. Seraphina, graceful even in submission. Kale with that charming smile that held genuine respect now. Even Alpha Theron, who'd voted against me. We pledge loyalty to Luna Rhea Moonwhisper Stormclaw, they said in unison. Priestess, healer, savior of the wolf realm. I reached Damon's side, his touch sending warmth through the bond. You ready? He murmured, too low for others to hear. No, I admitted, but let's do it anyway. Arya approached, carrying the Luna crown on a velvet cushion. Not a delicate thing. This was forged from silver and gold intertwined, embedded with moonstones that glowed with inner light. Created specifically for me, Damon had said. Damon lifted the crown. Rhea Moonwhisper Stormclaw. You faced the void and sealed it permanently. You saved not just one pack, but all wolf kind. You showed us that strength comes in many forms, that compassion is not weakness, that love, true love, can rewrite even fate itself. He placed the crown on my head. It settled perfectly, warm against my skin, as if it had been waiting for me. You are my mate, my equal, my queen in all ways. His eyes held mine. Luna Rhea Moonwhisper Stormclaw, do you accept this crown and all it represents? I do, I said, my voice steady despite my racing heart. Then by the power of the Alpha King and the witness of the 12 packs, I crown you Luna. He pulled me into a kiss, deep, claiming, absolutely inappropriate for ceremony. The hall exploded. Howls of approval shook the rafters. Luna, Luna, Luna. When we finally broke apart, Damon kept me close. One more thing, he said, then louder. As my first act with my Luna at my side, I officially establish the Moonwhisper Sanctuary. Any wolf rejected by their pack, any Omega deemed defective, any wolf told they're not good enough, has a home here always. More howls, more approval. I saw faces in the crowd, Omegas who'd served alongside me, tears streaming down their cheeks. Nobody, I added, my voice carrying with the alpha command I now possessed. Nobody will be called weak for being different. Difference is power, and every wolf deserves a chance to prove themselves. The celebration lasted hours. Dancing, feasting, stories of the battle retold with embellishment. Warriors demonstrated their blessed weapons, still glowing faintly with my power. Arya received honors for her role. Even Cassius, who'd supported us from the beginning, was celebrated. But eventually, as the moon reached its zenith, Damon pulled us away. We ran through Moonwhisper Forest under the full moon, our wolves finally free. Mine, pure silver with gold markings from our bond. His, silver gray with new silver highlights.
We chased each other like pups, playing, hunting, free of prophecy and duty and death. Just mates, just wolves. Eventually, we reached the lake where we'd swum during our 7 days, shifted back to human form. The water was cool against our skin, the moon bright overhead. "Luna Rhea," Damon said, pulling me close. "How does it feel?" "Surreal, terrifying, perfect." I traced the claiming mark on his collarbone. "A month ago, I was nothing. Now I'm everything," he finished. "You were always everything, Rhea. The world just needed to catch up." His hand moved to my stomach where our children grew. Twins, moon and stars, I can hardly believe it. "They'll be strong, but we'll teach them to be kind too, to use their power to help, not hurt. They'll have the best teachers." He kissed me softly. "Their mother rewrote prophecy. Their father learned that love isn't weakness. Together, we'll raise them to be better than we were." Through the bond, I felt his absolute certainty, his hope for the future, his love for me, for our unborn children, for the life we'd built from ashes. I was nothing. Now I'm everything, and this is just the beginning. "Just the beginning," he agreed. We made love there under the full moon, skin slick with lake water, the bond singing between us. 2 souls, 1 heart, infinite love. And later, as the sun rose over our kingdom, we lay tangled together, my head on his chest, his arms around me, both of us dreaming of the future. A future with children who would carry both our lights, a sanctuary for the rejected, a kingdom built on compassion instead of cruelty. I was the defective Omega, the broken one, the wolf who couldn't shift. Now I was Luna, priestess, mate to the Alpha King, mother-to-be. "I love you," I whispered. "I love you," he echoed, "in this life and every one after." Wolf howls echoed through the forest, our pack celebrating, calling to their Luna. We answered together, our voices joining in harmony. And as the sun rose over our kingdom, I knew with absolute certainty, this was just the beginning. The end.
This story ends here. Thanks for listening. Comment if you want a part 2 and subscribe for more stories.